Hey guys, so um, been thinking about it for a little while, and it's just another way to describe the same thing over and over again, which fundamentally I've been saying is we have to get inside the customer's mind. What is the customer thinking? And yes, so the technique or the tactic or, without having a negative connotation is, end of the day, this is supposed to help the customer get to a better decision for themselves out of all the options they have. Eventually they have to decide what they want to do. So what we want to do is present to the customer the opposite. So the opposite scenario. So the opposite. OPPOSITE. The opposite. And so when we give our opinion, OPINION, the opposite must be true. So if we say to our customer, we want a roof done, this is our opinion, we think you should go ahead with your roof, and we give our options, the opposite must be true. So instead of saying, this is our opinion, this is the roof, this is what must be done, there must be something else that is true. We need to express that opinion. Either we've dealt with so many customers that we know that we already know what the customer is going to say. That's our first thing. So the customer might say, well, what if I do a repair? What if I want to do only partial roof? What if we do it this way? What are my options for the roof? So the concept is, essentially the main concept is, we've given our opinion, but there must be other realities. There must be another truth to it, which is, we believe what we've said is so right, but what are the other options? What are the other realities? So these other realities are based on what's inside the customer's mind, and we can predict that based on the fact that we've dealt with so many customers. Or we can ask questions. Ask questions to the customer. And the customer will then tell us the truth. The questions may range from, what do you think, from what I've told you, what are your thoughts around it? Do you feel like there's a better way to do it? What are your concerns about going ahead? Do you feel like we could give you other options? And once they start to go through these options, then they'll say, well, what if I only did a partial roof? And then you'll say, well, if you go ahead with a partial roof, these are the advantages or disadvantages, or the pros and cons. So what you're saying there is, what is the advantage? So they're giving you their options, or what they're thinking inside their head, and then you'll say, well, this is the pros, this is the cons of these options. Or they'll say that another plumber said this and that, and then you'll say, well, what they're saying, this is the advantages of going ahead with their option, and this is the disadvantages of going ahead with the option. And then if you still believe that your one is still right, then revert them back down to what your option is, your opinion. And then, because you can't hide from what the customer is thinking. What I mean by hide is, when we go out to a customer, we're always like, this is our opinion, we're the best, this is all it is. So where do I get this understanding from? We as humans, all of us, we all breathe the same air, we drink the same water, we all pay taxes, and we all live in a similar reality. No matter what happens, we all have suffering, we all have happiness, we all have these things, right? There's certain things about being a human we can't avoid. And one of those things is that we think that our opinion is better than everyone else's. So it's just ingrained in us. So then that's not going to be true. And when it comes to a customer, there are other realities that are true. So we need to address these other realities and really bring it to light, so that the customer can feel at peace with their decision. So if our product, our opinion, our decision, our advice is the very best, but the customer still has questions, still has queries, still has doubts, and we haven't addressed them, and they still have other options in their brain, and they're not sure if their other options are correct, then no matter what your opinion is, and no matter how good it is, and how good your product is, you'll never win the customer. So let's go back into real life and look at the scenario. So you've given your customer an opinion. You can already presume what the customer's going to say. Then you're saying, hey, so I presume what you're thinking is, you can try it another way, or you can do a temporary fix, or you can do this, or you can go for a bigger fix. And then you have to make it clear to them, these are the pros and cons of all your decisions. So, but then sometimes that's not enough. You've got to start asking questions, and the customer at times will be reluctant to tell you the truth because they don't want to hurt your feelings as the person communicating to them. So you have to sort of, in a gentle way, say, hey, even if you don't go ahead, what are your thoughts about how you want to do it? And the customer's like, well, you know what, I think I can fix this myself. And then you'll say, okay, well, even if you don't go ahead, just for my own curiosity, how do you think you're going to fix it yourself? And the customer will say this, this, this. And it's your job again to tell them, well, the pros of trying to fix it yourself is you may save some money. But the negative is, you may not be insured, you may hurt yourself, it may not even get to the conclusion that you think you're going to achieve. You may have continual damage to your house because that problem is still there, and the water and the rain and the damage will continue damaging your house. So that's pretty much it. So what is the whole point of this is we need to, once we've done this with the customer, we need to then communicate it to the customer in numerous different ways. So verbally, face-to-face, or if we're over the phone, it's over the phone. Then in the email that we send to them with the description of the work, we need to re-communicate that whole process again to them. And in the video we send to them of the works, that before we start the works, if we send them video, it's the same thing. We need to communicate this whole process to them, because after we've communicated to them verbally, a lot of times customers will forget about everything, and they'll go back to whatever they were initially thinking. So then again, we need to communicate to them in the verbal, in the written quote, these are all the things that you're thinking, these are all your options, and this is the pros and cons of all your options. And in the video again. So in the video, we can emphasize why we think our option is the best, but then we still need to talk about what's happening inside the customer's mind. Where we're like, and as we spoke, you said that you can fix this yourself. As you can see, there's quite a lot of hazards here where you can hurt yourself. There's quite a lot of chances that the way that you're going to fix it is not going to work, and which will lead to further damage inside your house. You may not be insured because you did something that was supposed to be done legally by someone that is licensed or registered in the trade. So your insurance company may not step in and help with any damages that have occurred from a leak in the wall, or a rainy roof, or whatever, electrical issue around the house. So I guess, yeah, the point of all this was, again, fundamentally, we have to go inside the customer's mind to bring them peace of their decisions. They've got millions and millions of decisions, millions of conflicting ideas, and lots of little voices, and they've got other people around them that are talking to them, and they've got to talk to their partner about it. So we have to find some kind of mental peace for the customer. And having the best product is not going to give necessarily the mental peace that they desire. So to get to this point of mental peace where they're happy to go ahead with us peacefully, not have buyer's regret, not have all these other things, and not only with peace, but a sense of relief and joy that they're like, yep, here you go, here's my contract, go ahead and do my job. I think we have to go through these processes, which is, we've got our opinion, we have to go inside the customer's mind and figure out what is their options, give them all the pros and cons based on your expertise of their options, and then ask them questions like, what do you think about this? After you've gone through this, after I've explained this to you, what is going on inside of you? What are you thinking that you want to go ahead with? And make them feel comfortable and get them like, hey, look, even if you don't go ahead with me, just for my own curiosity, so that I can learn and become better at what I do, what do you think, what would you like to go ahead with? And only when the truth comes out, then you can figure out a solution. Sometimes the customer's not suitable for us, and that's the end of our working relationship with them. And sometimes they might say to you something that you know is going to lead to more and more problems for them in every single way. They're going to have more damages, more issues, more things. So you might want to repeat to themselves, I understand that you want to go ahead with this option. You're saying that you want your roof fixed and you want an insurance claim. But the path that you're taking is to use someone that is not licensed and regulated by the industry to do this work. It's much cheaper, so you have it's an advantage to you. But you do realize that when you go to claim your insurance, the insurance company is going to ask, who did the work? Did they do it compliantly? Where's your paperwork? Where's your compliance certificates? And you're not going to have all of that stuff. So then you're not going to get, you based on your thinking, are not going to even reach your goal. Forget about me as the person that's trying to win you over, but you're not even going to reach your goal based on your decisions. So again, we're just trying to create a fair system for everybody involved. Us, the customer, the regulation, the boards, the government boards, the regulatory board that looks after all the licensing. How do we get to this final conclusion? So I hope that all made sense, but on the side note, I do want to emphasize it's not just about that initial contact where you explain everything to them. It has to be done in writing in a very, in a very clear way so the customer understands the decisions, because they're going to forget. And when we make a video for them, same thing. We have to explain the same thing to them again because they're going to forget. So I guess that's it. Repeat. And because people will forget, it's just, they're with you, they're being polite, they've got a lot on their mind, you're a stranger, they're a little bit nervous, they're not 100% thinking correctly. Once you leave, they're going to forget a lot of the stuff you've spoken about. Hence, we have to repeat ourselves. And yeah, so again, it is not about, our tendency as humans, we're all in the boat together, me, you, and everyone involved, is to always have a bias that we think our opinion is right. But there's millions of other opinions and millions of other ways of doing the job and millions of other products out there that will be competing against our opinion. But whose opinion is the most right? We're hoping that our opinion, based on what the customer needs, is the most right. So if the customer is looking for perfect, there's no such thing as perfect because it doesn't exist, it may not be there, it may not be feasible. So of the many decisions the customer has, they have to come to a moment of peace, balance, something a compromise in their own mind, where they're like, out of all my options, it's not perfect, but it seems like this company is the best. And it's our job to help them get to this conclusion. And again, we're not trying to be forceful for selling, we're not trying to be pushy, we just want to know, okay, is this customer suitable for us? If it is, we want them. If they're not, then it's not for us, and then we just move on to the next person. So, and that's about it. That's all I think.